Hello, and welcome to my live. I want to share my learnings with you today about what the real cause of overwhelm and exhaustion is, and actually how we can properly resolve it and actually move into this space of calm, of feeling at peace, of, being able to be creative, tap into our intuition, be focused, all of these kind of things that, I totally understand, feel like they are probably totally evading you at the moment. They're totally out of reach for you. So we're going to talk about, why it happens, but actually, and what the real cause of it is, and actually how you can help yourself with it. Okay, so for those of you who are not familiar with me at the moment, I will just introduce myself. So my name's Anna Rushmer. I'm a healer and an intuitive empowerment coach. I basically use Gene Keys, hypnotherapy and breath work within my work, and I'm here to help women to, no matter what they've experienced, even deep trauma, to help them move into this space of having stillness of mind, feeling, inner peace, and actually being able to find their joy in life again. And the beauty is, no matter what chaos is going on at the moment, whether it's mental, physical, financial, whatever it may be, the beauty is that deep resolution is possible, and we can come into this space. We can have this space of inner peace, freedom, joy. We do not have to live with our symptoms. We don't have to settle for anything. There's a common misconception that, whatever is happening for us right now, we're only going to be able to, potentially manage or cope with through the rest of our lives. That's not the case. And this is what, my work is all about, is actually creating. And the amount, my need to get this education piece out as well is that actually deep resolution is possible, so that you can have these things. And then, when we're in this space of inner peace, that is when we're going to be able to attract the things that we truly desire into our lives. So whether that's, love, wealth, kids, family, whatever it may be, our business, building a business or growing our business, whatever it may be, we're going to be in that space where we can actually welcome that in. So, excuse me. So what's actually happening when we're in this space of overwhelm and exhaustion? And I've put those two together because this is absolutely, where I used to be. So actually I should probably explain my all of the work that I do now, I have taken from my own healing journey. So everything that I've used in my own healing journey of coming, healing from deep childhood trauma, so trauma from sexual abuse, from abandonment kind of issues, family issues, toxic relationship. There's a whole world of symptoms going on for me. Chronic anxiety, overwhelm, insomnia, all sorts of things happening. But actually moving from that space into the space now that I have of, actually feeling, actually being able to find this stillness of mind, this calm, this peace, this tranquility, and actually being able to find joy in life that, absolutely wasn't there. So all of the work that I do is taken from my own journey, bringing in obviously only the parts that were the super powerful transformations for me. I've very much walked the walk and tried everything, but it's taken me a long time to find out exactly what the answer was for me. So this is what I pull together in my programs in a teeny tiny fraction of the time that it's taken me. So overwhelm and exhaustion were huge, and having very little energy was probably the thing that took the longest to really kind of understand and really work out what was happening there. And part of that reason was, purely because we don't know to do it, but we also don't really look after ourselves, really rest, really take that time to care for ourselves, and nurture ourselves, look after ourselves in the same way we would do, for our best friend or a family member or for our kids. But basically what's happening with overwhelm and exhaustion is the mind has kind of taken over. So I like to kind of describe it as, there are loads of apps running, or like we'd have on our phone. There are loads of apps running within us that are permanently on, that don't need to be, but we can't actually shut them down. And this is what I mean by, like, the mind has taken over. We need to, when we've experienced, traumas, whether they be the big life event traumas or those ones that we would deem as, the smaller events, whatever it is, whenever we experience those, it's going to create, that kind of energy loss, but it's going to create that dissociation between the mind and the body, and we're going to come up into the mind. So it's basically where we should be living from our body. We should be allowing our body to, make the decisions for us. But what's incredibly normal for us to do is to kind of detach body and mind, get the words right, detach body and mind and come up purely into our minds. And that is happening as well because as we experience things through life, we create, patterns, programs with each experience, and they almost, and we do this to protect ourselves. Our subconscious is going to do this to protect ourselves, but because there's no logic, no rationale to our subconscious mind, it's not necessarily going to be, still running the right programs for us that are going to actually help us in our world now. So it's almost like we're compounding all of our life events, all of the programs that have happened for us. They're all then running, behind the scenes. We've got all of those apps open, and we've also created this disconnect from mind and body. So it's like our mind is just, in overtime, and this is where running overtime, and this is where we're going to come into headaches and migraines as well. We're going to, because we've just got too much energy up here, and we need to be able to come back into our bodies. But to do that, we need to be able to work out what's triggered this, what's the program, what was the initial program that started all of this off. And that's what we can do when we work with both the subconscious mind and the body's natural kind of wisdom of how to heal itself. Okay, so these are two ways that I work with my clients, and two modalities that I use. I use hypnotherapy and breath work. And with hypnotherapy, we can connect, and it's deep analytical hypnotherapy as well. We're not dealing with generic scripts and suggestions. This is about really deep diving in to work out what's going on. So with this, we would look at what that overwhelm is creating for you, what feelings, what thoughts, what behaviors that's creating for you. And then with hypnotherapy, we can connect with the subconscious and actually allow the subconscious to take us to exactly the right point that we need to find to heal. And the beauty is that the subconscious knows exactly where to go. So when we can step into this space of almost like opening up the space, opening up the time, when we can commit to actually helping ourselves, we can actually let our subconscious and our body do that work. We don't have to do this, heavy mind work. Like if you've ever been in programs or talking therapies or coaching where you just feel like, oh my God, I can't find the answer, there's too much going on, That's exactly what we're not going to do in my Surviving to Thriving program. It's exactly, you know, it's totally about allowing the subconscious mind and the body naturally to heal itself. So we will go in and we'll ask the subconscious to identify the first or the worst time, you know, we've experienced this anxiety, overwhelm, where that overwhelm has come from, so that we can really pinpoint where it is we need to work with, what it is we need to work with, and where as well, you know, from what age, and those sorts of things. And actually, you know, then we can work to resolve that in whatever way is right for the client. For every client is going to be different, but in whatever way is right. So we will release the suppressed emotion, because there will be suppressed emotion that is, you know, locked in with that memory, with that program. We'll release that, and then we'll work out what we need to do with that program. So if it's, you know, completely release it, if it's reframe it, this is all about working out what patterns are happening in your life now, what symptoms that's creating. You know, this will be creating the overwhelm and the exhaustion as well, because everything is just so busy. And then we can work out what needs to be released, what needs to be integrated, what needs to be accepted. And we can break all those patterns basically, and then reassemble them in a way that is right for you, you know, again, for each client in a bespoke way. So this is where Gene Keys and human design also comes into my work. So that is about, we break all our patterns up, we resolve all the crap that's going on for us, and then we can rebuild based on, you know, who we are energetically. So Gene Keys and human design, super briefly, will help us to know, you know, who we authentically are, who we, like, it gives us like a map to our inner being, our map to our unique energetic makeup. So we can align then with that. And this is where life then starts to get easier. You know, we drop the overwhelm, we drop the exhaustion, because we're aligning with who we're truly meant to be. We're not carrying all these life events, all these life programmings. We're not being dragged back into all of those events all the time. You know, we're not in our minds constantly worrying. We can release the mind from needing to be the master, which it's, you know, it's not meant to be. And I know that can sound like a strange concept if you haven't heard that before, but we can release the mind needing to be in charge, and also our inner child needing to be in charge, because that's what will be happening with those trauma points potentially, or, you know, life event points as well. We can release all of that so that we can come back into the body, and we can really, you know, tune into our body, tune into our heart connection. This is where, you know, we're all moving into. This is what society is moving towards, is actually this real kind of body heart connected way of being. So it's all about being, and being you, as opposed to doing. So when we've got all those apps running, when we're like completely in our mind, rather than being able to come back into our body and really trust in our body to make decisions for us, that's, you know, human design kind of approach that I can talk about. You know, by all means, drop me a line if you're interested in this and you want to have a chat about it some more. I won't go into it too much on this video, but this is where we can really tune in and, you know, really work with our energetics to learn how to make decisions for ourselves in the best way. So for example, you know, I now know, because I've done a lot of healing work, but because I'm now tuned into my Gene Keys and my human design profiles, I now know if I get into this space of feeling confused, feeling like I'm not being creative, not motivated, you know, I can't focus for whatever reason, then I can truly trust in this, in the space of, you know, actually just walking away from everything. I need to come into my stillness, into my peace of mind, you know, whether that's literally sitting still and breathing. Breathwork is a big part of the work, a big chunk of the work that I do with clients as well. But whether it's coming into that space, whether it's going for a walk, whether it's taking a bath, you know, but also being able to trust that we don't permanently have to be on, you know, we don't have to be permanently pushing and proving. And a massive part of my learning was learning that I need to come into my stillness as much as I need to be, you know, taking aligned action. So it's as important for me to be still and effectively do nothing, because that's when my roots are deepening. And that is when, you know, amazing kind of intuitive ideas for work and downloads for what to do next, that is when that's going to drop in. So that's as important to me as, you know, the doing and taking aligned action, you know, whether that's work, whether it's, you know, personal, family, kids, you know, whatever it may be. That's as important for me. So this is what it's about. It's a learning to let go of the guilt as well, which again will have been set up, you know, in a life lesson at some point. And none of these things necessarily happen from, you know, anybody else's wrongdoing, but just from society, just the way that we're brought up in school, just the way we're, you know, we work in corporate. We're expected to be on and pushing and proving and doing all the stuff all the time, and we just don't work like that, and we shouldn't work like that. You know, nobody should. There should always be moments for rest. Some people need more than others do. I'm a projector and I also have a lot of stillness in my chart, so I really need to tune into that. You know, other people, other human design types won't need quite so much rest, but we all need it. Okay, we all need to come into this space of being able to learn that and trust and drop the guilt that actually, you know, we can rest and we can come out of that space. So if you're in a space of feeling really overwhelmed at the moment, I would suggest introducing at least 15 minutes of rest time into each day. If your mind tells you you haven't got time, tell it it's nonsense, because we can always find 15 minutes in the day. So start building that into your routine. And if you feel that, you know, you're in this space again of just feeling like everything's too much, too overwhelmed, too exhausted, then just come into a space, just take some time just to sit and just kick into some sort of general breathing kind of exercises, whether it's box breathing, so breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. Another one that I've used over my time is breathing in for the count of 7 and out for the count of 11, just to start bringing ourselves back into us, into our bodies, rather than in this space of, oh my god, you know, there's too much going on, just I don't know what to do, feeling panicky. And know that, you know, none of this is your fault. It is resolvable. You just need, you know, the right tools. You need to know what the right tools are to work with, and you also need to work with the right people. So, you know, you can work with a lot of people. There are a lot of people out there who are wanting to help, but just make sure that whoever you work with can hold this space from, you know, having experienced it themselves. So I tend to work with women who know that there's some trauma that needs to still be resolved, no matter how much they've worked on it previously, and we create those, you know, final resolutions. But because I can hold that space from having experienced deep trauma myself and actually having healed from it. So what was the other thing I was going to say? I think that's it. We need to rest. We need to, you know, we need to be able to identify the life events that are, or the programs that have been set up that are creating these symptoms for us. So if this resonates, if you are in this space of, you know, I've had enough of having enough, I totally get it, because I was absolutely there. So by all means, drop me a line. You know, if you're interested in working together, if you've got any questions, by all means drop them in the comments and then I can come back to those. But hopefully that's been helpful. Hopefully now you've got a few tools that you can implement straight away, and as I say, do get in touch, because I do not want anybody living in this space of just, you know, feeling like they're having to struggle and settle and manage and cope with stuff, because we don't have to. Okay, this is what I have to be so clear about in my messaging, because, you know, the norm is that we do put up with stuff, you know, we do settle. That's not what we have to do. So take care, lots of love, thanks for listening. Do get in touch if I can help in